Welcome back to Face the State on this Sunday morning. The new governor, Ned Lamont, says he is pro-business. So what do business leaders think about that? We are joined by two leaders today. Reggie Hales, he is the longtime publisher of the Inquiring News in Hartford, and A.J. Johnson, who is, we'll talk about your event in just a little bit, Small
Absolutely.
Business Night Out. But gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for being here on the program.
Thank you.
I know that Governor Lamont is relatively new to the job. He's only been on the job about, 5 weeks or so. But what's the reaction been in terms of his attitude toward business? And Mr. Hales, I'll begin with you.
First of all, I hope to have a one-on-one with him soon. What I've heard him say thus far is encouraging, and it's enlightening for someone to come in and start a new administration and have some really great, diverse people around him. But we have some problems that precede him, and we still really haven't concluded some of the issues going on. We still have impoverished neighborhoods. It's great to talk about new business coming in and things of that nature, but I've always heard in 30 years of my career that we're going to give incentives to different large corporations, but we can't give those equal incentives to those corporations and small mom and pop shops that have been here and struggling and made it for 50 years. Our product highlights old-time business people that have made it, while as the state of Connecticut gives large corporations money, and 2 years later, they're out of business. Mm-hmm. So we think we can provide him some insight that may be a little different from the people he's surrounded with to date.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Johnson, you've made it your mission to promote small businesses in the city of Hartford. What are the struggles that they face?
So small, like what Reggie said is very important. A lot of the minority business owners are, I mean, we know the talking points of small. We don't have access to capital. Contractors are you know, once they get in situations with their business to take on some of these big construction projects, they always get hit with, well, you don't have enough insurance, or you can't be bonded because you're lacking. And the bottom line is, what we have to do in the state is open up pots of money for minority business owners, because business owners aren't getting lending and money due to a lot of redlining. If you want to open up a business in, say, North Hartford, right, there aren't too many banks that will risk lending you money to open up a business in your neighborhood where you live. And that's unacceptable. And I think the state needs to step in and do something about that. And I also think that we need to hold these banks accountable for saying where they're going to put our money. Because when we all go to the bank, we all put our money in these spaces. And they're telling us we cannot open banks in our own neighborhoods due to the risk of the neighborhood. And that's just unfair.
What would you like to see the governor do in terms of improving that? Well,
so, I mean, there's a lot of things I would like the governor to do. But, you know, personally, I would like to meet with him one-on-one. I think that's something that hasn't happened yet. I think with the election that has happened, he's run by different places, but I personally haven't had intimate time to sit down with him, and I would rather tell him personally what I would like him to do, as opposed to, you know, come on a Dennis House show and tell him what I'd like him to do. You know?
You know, I'm hearing some different things from, you know, people in North Hartford, the North End. Some business leaders say, well, you know, this minimum wage would be good for some of the people in the city, but it would also cost me a lot more. What do you think about the $15 minimum wage?
Well, first of all, let's take the northeast sector of Hartford for an example. We're right between two exits on I-91, exit 34, exit 33. When that highway shuts down, where does that traffic go? Right down North Main Street into downtown Hartford. Correct. And vice versa on getting out of work time. So the merchants there now, and I'm going to answer that question directly in a second, but the merchants there now, our job is to help them increase their bottom line so that they can pay and afford a higher wage for their workers. When that happens, we can increase it more. The better you do, the better you can relate to your employees. Not only with that, but with smart insurance plans as well.
Yeah. How is some of the downtown development? There's been some criticism that most of the development was settled, was concentrated in downtown Hartford in recent years, and that the other neighborhoods have been forgotten.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a major piece. Again, we spend all this money to make sure downtown businesses are pretty, make sure they're pristine, when the neighborhoods actually have a lot of culture and a lot of good things that happen. in our neighborhoods. Take Franklin Avenue. Franklin Avenue is, you go down there on a Friday night, it's booming. Small businesses are great. You go to the north end of Hartford. Every side of town has their own culture that we just need to bring out and magnify. I mean, I get downtown as our hub, but downtown is only for suburban people who come and leave at 5 or in their car by 8 o'clock, getting ready to go back to their nice, comfy home in the suburbs. There are wonderful neighborhoods that have great, great activity, great culture that just needs to be magnified. And so until we invest in the culture of our neighborhoods, we will always be pointing to downtown and what that looks like.
There is a lot of suburban traffic traveling through North Hartford, as you mentioned, North Main Street, particularly Albany Avenue out to the western suburbs. Why don't people stop? What could be done to get them to stop and solicit the businesses there?
One thing that I've been mentioning to the local merchants is that in this day and age, it's time to really say to themselves, what can I do instead of what the city can do for me? And what we're preaching to them and saying, listen, you have to be a bit more of a sheriff of what you control. For example, if there is unsavory things in your block, let's come together as merchants and say, listen, we're not going to tolerate this, and we're going to move forward in a positive way.
Reggie, I'm going to jump in because I want to talk about your events coming up. I'm getting a wrap from my producer that we're running out of time. So let's begin with, so they're both this coming Friday, which is February 22nd. Tell us about yours first, Reggie, and then we'll go to
50 years of Inquiring News publishing. Inquiring News, which started out as the Hartford Star, which went into the Hartford Inquirer, a product that my father started as celebrating 50 years. 50 years.
That's beautiful.
Can you believe it?
And it's a luncheon.
When companies have come and gone, we're having our annual luncheon, but the focus this year, February 22nd, 12 to 2 at Uptown Vibes in Hartford, is to rejoice, come together, and give thanks to the product that we do in serving the people of Hartford and the state.
And then a few hours later,
a few hours later at 6:30 at the Downtown Marriott, downtown Hartford, we're having our 6th annual Black Business Gala. It is a gala where we celebrate black business in the region, in New England. And we're honoring some amazing people, and that's going to be downtown Hartford, 6:30 p.m. Great.
All that information is on my blog, DennisHouse.tv, how to get tickets and so forth. A.J. Johnson, Reggie Hales, thank you for being on the program.
Thank you.
25 years ago, Governor Loweyker said the state was doing so well, he was going to get rid of the car tax. Listen.
I believe our state's finances are now sufficiently healthy and growing to permit us to phase out the personal property tax, achieving elimination of the tax on automobiles by 1998. For the first time in years, we in this chamber are endowed with choices on these matters.
Obviously, the car tax is still here, and people say the state wasn't in the shape that he thought it was, and that's why we have some problems to this day. But I welcome your comments. Find me on social media. Let me know what you're thinking. Have a great Sunday, everybody. We'll see you later.